everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We have Casey Stoney here, and she's going to start out with a statement about this weekend's upcoming quarterfinal match, and they'll open up for questions.
Obviously, massively exciting opportunity for us as a club. Our first ever season to be in the playoffs is a huge achievement by the club and the players and the staff. So yeah, exciting. It's something different for me. Normally when the season's over, it's over, but you have, almost 3 opportunities to win silverware here. So, we know we're up against a very good team with very good attacking threats. But it's also a team we know we can do well against. So exciting opportunity for us. We know it's a huge game, but one we're really looking forward to.
Do we have any questions? Jeff, if you want to go ahead.
Hey, Casey, thanks for taking the time. I know you've talked a lot about this season, just kind of managing players and them being people, and just wondering what the last couple of weeks have been like in terms of everything that's happened and what that has looked like in terms of giving them time or just how you've kind of managed that and just kind of how are you doing? How are players faring?
Yeah, it's been a difficult couple of weeks. I won't shy away from that. I think we have to acknowledge the history of the league and the experiences the players that have had, and especially some of these players in this environment. I will do everything I can to support them, give them space, talk to them, ask them how they are, ask what they need. We have enough support in our environment, not just me. Obviously, we've got a wellbeing coach too who's here. We have external pathways too that we can refer players to. So I'm really confident that we've created a space that is, safe but fun. I shouldn't even have to use the word safe. I think it's shocking that we even have to talk about protecting players and safety and stuff like that, because it's not a world where I ever want to manage or be a head coach of, and I'm certainly not that here. So whilst I'm the head coach of this club, they'll have an environment where they're valued, they're cared for. They might not always like me based on my decisions in terms of the team, but I'd like to think they will always respect that I care for them and value them, no matter whether they play 1 minute, no minute, or 90 minutes.
Thanks, Casey. And anything you can share on the status of everybody, I guess, on health, but Alex, Taylor, and Abby?
Yeah, Abby is out 100%. And to be honest, when it comes to Alex and Taylor, like at the moment, it's still very, very questionable. Both of them have, been seriously injured. So yeah, it's we're still working day by day at the moment.
Tom Krasovich.
Yes, Coach, what was your experience in soccer as a player in terms of the coaches and the people? Was it anything like what we're reading and hearing about in the NWSL that is so awful?
Thankfully, no, it wasn't my experience. The verbal abuse, emotional abuse, certainly not the sexual abuse. I wasn't aware of any of that in any of my environments. But coaches having relationships with players, that's not new. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with any staff having relationship with players on any level. I think it's a power dynamic that should not happen. But this is not just an NWSL problem. It's a women's sport problem. It's a women's football problem. I've seen it in so many clubs I've been part of, and I don't agree with it. I've moved staff away from my environments in previous jobs because there's been boundaries crossed. I will not have it at all. And I don't agree with it on any level. So yeah, that is something that I've seen. But I've thankfully not been part of environments where some of the stuff I've read makes me absolutely sick to my core.
And I'm wondering if the leaders of the NWSL have solicited your input and perhaps Jill Ellis to take advantage of you as resources to help have things go better.
I think right now, obviously, there's an ongoing investigation. I think off the back of that, there'll be a lot of actions that need to be taken. I think there will be conversations being had. And if anybody wants to ask my opinion, my advice or anything, I'm more than happy to be involved in any way I can to help this game be better. I came here for that, to make sure that we are doing things differently, that we can be different and we can win being different. So yeah, I think there'll be lots of conversations off the back of the next investigation coming out. And we want to be leading in those conversations.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Theo,
Hi, Casey. I wanted to open up by just saying thank you for being so vulnerable in that video this week. It was very touching, and I feel like it is an emotional time for lots of different reasons, and I thought that was really powerful. Vulnerability is something we're all learning from. On the game though, and you touched on it a bit at the top, never having managed playoffs before, something we don't have in England or necessarily around the world. How is that as a coach, as a new challenge? Are you leaning on players in the squad to maybe teach you about what a playoffs run looks like, and like you said, kind of how you separate what just happened in the regular season to now what could be 3 games that kind of decide your legacy?
Yeah, and they're always one-off games, aren't they? So I would liken it to an FA Cup game, if I'm honest. In Europe, when I was working in England, you lose, you're out of the FA Cup, So in terms of that, I would liken it to that. Yeah, these players have way more experience in playoff situations than I do. So I don't have an ego. So anything they can share with me that will help the team, I will ask, I'll listen, I'll learn, and I'll try and make sure that everybody's, got that knowledge, because we know it's a big game, but at the same time, I believe the pressure is all on Chicago. They've been in this position before. They played at this stage last year. We haven't, but what an opportunity for us.
Cheers. Thanks for your time, Casey.
Cheers. Thank you.
Alicia,
Thank you. Hi, Casey. Thanks for your time. I wanted to ask about playing Chicago and kind of your approach to the game. I mean, obviously, I would expect that Mal Pugh is going to be involved this time, and she was in the last matchup against San Diego. But there's other players who can contribute as well. And as far as kind of building a game plan for this particular match, what's your outlook for your side?
Well, they're a very good team, Yeah, Mal Pugh is an exceptional talent. We know that, but Nagasato is a very good player, Di Bernardo, and and players they've got, obviously Morgan Gautrat being back is a huge plus for them in terms of the way they connect through midfield, and they've got, the #1 American goalkeeper. So in terms of their roster, they're very strong. We know we're going to have to be defensively very good. But we also know that we can score goals against them because we have. So yeah, it's I'm not going to give away all my game plan, but yeah, it's a game we're looking forward to.
Yeah, and obviously walking into the game, you probably don't want it to go to penalties, but has your team been preparing for penalties in case it does go to that?
Yeah, we prepare for every eventuality.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Steph Young,
Thanks. Hi, Casey. I wanted to ask for your reflection on Naomi Girma, who, obviously had a pretty good game with the US, even though the result was maybe not great. But, and then obviously she, didn't play both games full 90. She had some rest. So I was just wondering, A, what your reflection on her is and her ability to kind of step between the club and the national team world and look so steady. And B, if there was some discussion there between yourself or the clubs in US soccer about, hey, it's still playoffs left to go, so be judicious about time.
Yeah, I think first of all, I'm very happy I stood strong on the fact that I wanted Naomi Girma as our #1 draft pick, and I think she's validated that decision time and time again. She's a very mature player. She's an incredible human being. She's so composed on and off the field. So she just takes everything in her stride. Playing in front of 70 or 80 odd thousand at Wembley is not an easy thing to do. And again, she took it in her stride. But yeah, I think obviously I speak to Black Co, and I was pleased she didn't play in the second game, and I thought he was great at respecting the fact that we had a playoff. And I don't want to deny Naomi playing opportunities, but as a head coach that's got a game this weekend, I was pleased to not see her play in the second game. And yeah, I think she done really well at Wembley. She'll be pleased with her performance, and she's just growing and growing, game in, game out.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Joey,
Hey, Coach, you guys have beaten the Red Stars already twice and sort of at different stages of the season too. I'm wondering, is it difficult to beat a team, I guess, 3 straight times? Are you using the same tactics that you might have used the first 2 times? Are you switching it up or a mixture of that?
Well, I'm not going to let you know what I'm doing, but I can say that, I think beating them twice is dangerous ground for us. We need to have the right mentality and approach the game in a way that, we know they're a good side. They created lots of chances. We won the game away from home because Kaylin Sheridan saves a penalty in an important moment. And we defended our box exceptionally well for 30 minutes with 10 players. But we want to make sure that we don't have to do that this game. We would like a little bit more of the ball, and we'd like to create chances, knowing that, they've got very good threats on transition too.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Last question, Jackie.
Thank you. Hey, Casey, appreciate your time. I have 2 questions for you really quick, but yeah, just kind of with the international window too, just wanted to get your thoughts just to see how kind of, if there's any adjustments on your end or just with the players as far as kind of dealing with that tight turnaround of those 2 games for you.
Not ideal having a playoff game right off the back of an international window with not a lot of prep time, but most of the teams are facing it, so we're in the same position. I can't really complain too much, and if we pick internationals on our roster, that's what we're going to have to face. So yeah, it's about giving them the information on their return, making sure they're physically right, making sure that we manage them back into the environment, and make sure they feel prepped and ready to go, whilst still having to manage their load.
Yeah, definitely. I know you were talking too just about, the history with the Red Stars this season and just the success that the team has had. And obviously the hope for Sunday is to win the game to move on. But either way, just how proud are you of just this group and what they've been able to accomplish this season? And of course, in general, just to like with the short just time frame of San Diego being the latest expansion team. Yeah,
immensely proud. This group's had a lot of challenges this year, and they've overcome every single one of them and took them on, and I feel, I say it all the time, I feel extremely privileged that I get to walk into this environment every day and work with these players who just want to constantly improve and get better. Obviously our sole aim at the weekend is to make sure that we're in the semi-final next weekend, but we're up against a very, very good experienced opponent, but we know we're capable. I'm confident in my team. And yeah, I'm confident we can make it 3 out of 3.
Yeah, well, appreciate your time and good luck. See you on Sunday.
Thank you. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. And we'll be back shortly with Alex Morgan and Mackenzie Doniak.